Hi, Andrew. Let's see if we get a couple more takers before we start proper. Are you okay, Andrew? I thought when I picked it up, I thought, why have I brought the scrattiest cup? The scrattiest cup I could find. Look at that. It's been in the dishwasher too many times, look. It's my husband that's the Liverpool fan. Hi, Scatty. Just hang on, see if we get any more people coming. Usually get a few joining. I am a Yorkshire lass, Andrew. Well, there's a bit of a story behind. Well, my husband's family are from Liverpool, so he supports Liverpool. My family are from Liverpool, but I don't support Liverpool because I'm from Leeds. Hi, Elizabeth. We've got a few people joining us. Right, let's make a start then because it is 1:30 the hour. So, day one, how did we all find it? Looked like there was lots going on in the group, which is brilliant to see. Love it, love it, love it when we've got lots of engagement. Means I can help you if you post in the group. Some people like to do these things on their own, do them, write the tasks out on paper and stuff, which is fine if you don't want to post in the group. What I will say, first of all, if you haven't read the rules post, you need to read it. So there's a post called "How the Challenge Works," and it's got all the rules in it. Please read it if you haven't, because the reason I'm saying that is because I was going to go on to say this is a really safe group. Okay, I've done this challenge. I think this is the 11th time we've done it now. And it's a very, very safe place. I worked really hard to keep it that way. It's a very positive place. Hi, Bruce. It's a very positive place. And if you read the rules, you'll see how I keep it that way. But basically, I remove people from the group. So if anybody is being negative, if anybody is trying to hijack the group in any way, if anybody's trying to coach people, if anybody's pitching their services, they just get removed. So please read the rules. I don't want to have to remove anybody. Also, it does mention in there, I can't promise to answer everything myself. I can't promise to put feedback for everybody on everything. It depends how much is going on in the group, depends what else. I've got clients that I'm working with as well as the challenge going on. So I can't promise it. But I will do my absolute best, and I always read everything. So even if I don't put a reply or a comment or whatever, please know that I do read everything. So, when I get a chance, I do read through everything. Just so happens today I've had time to look through everybody's, and I love day one. Absolutely love day one. That visualisation is just amazing, isn't it? And please, if you haven't done the visualisation, do it. It's only... I think it's about 4 minutes, is it? 4 minutes out of your day. Don't just look at the tasks for day one and say, oh yeah, I know what my goal is, and write it down. I want you to do the visualisation. It's really important. Hi, Jessica. Hi, Cynthia. Got lots of people on. So, following on then from the tasks that you've done today. So, first task, the main task, was the C-type goal. So remember, I explained that we talk about 3 types of goal, A, B and C-type goals. It's your C-type goal that we're interested in. The C-type goal starts off as a fantasy, okay? You probably won't believe that you can achieve it. You won't know, you definitely won't know how you're going to do it. Starts off as a fantasy, but that is what we work with. That is what Bob Proctor does. That's what we're trained to do. We work with goals that start off as fantasies. Okay, so don't worry if it all feels completely bizarre. If it feels completely unrealistic, it will do. Okay, it's supposed to. If it doesn't, you've probably picked the wrong goal. Okay, if you know how to do it, That's not the C-type goal. So don't worry if you've just got no idea how you do it and it feels unrealistic. That's fine. Andrew says he likes doing that task, like the million. I love that Million Dreams. Greatest Showman. Yeah, I do like that. I do. I've got some others that I'll bring up later in the week, but I love that song, Million Dreams. So the first task was the C-type goal, the visualising. Okay, so that it's important that you do that because that sets the foundation for the rest of the week. The bonus task was your shopping list. So you should have written down, hopefully, 2 lists, and we call them shopping lists. The lists of wants, the lists of things that you really, really want. So what it's basically doing is getting into the nitty-gritty of the C-type goal. So whereas for the main task you have this visualisation of what you'd love your life to look like and a kind of overarching view, like a bird's eye view of it, the bonus task is getting real. It's what goes to make up that C-type goal. What kind of house are you living in? Where are you going on vacation? Who are you spending your time with? What do you do with your weekends? What kind of car do you drive? All the things that go to make up that C-type goal. And you should have a personal list and a professional list. So a list of all the things in your personal life that you want. So the relationship, the house, the car, the vacations, the dog, the relationships, I've said that, all the things that go to make up your personal life. And then you should have a list of professional wants. So, if you have your own business, how many clients do you want to have? How much income do you want to be? How much sales income do you want to be generating? What kind of office do you want to have? Where do you want to be working? All those kind of things. That's your professional list. And then I ask you to prioritise them. And the way that I do that with my clients is we take the list and we say, okay, if you could just have one thing, if I could wave a magic wand and you could have one thing off that list, what would it be? And you put a circle around it and that becomes number 1. And then you say, okay, if I could just have one more thing, only one more thing on that list, what would it be? And you circle it and that becomes number 2. And you do that all the way down the list. That's how we prioritise, okay? When you've prioritised your lists, you'll have a top professional list, a top professional item, and a top personal item. And you take those 2, and what we do is we create a sentence out of them. And it starts, I'm so happy and grateful now that I... And you make a sentence from that top professional one and the top personal one. So it might be, I'm so happy and grateful now that I am earning $500,000 a year and living in a 6-bedroom house in Florida. I don't know. Whatever. You make a sentence to bring those 2 together, and that becomes your main goal. And what we do is we put that on a goal card. So, you can make your own, like a business card size card. We have fancy ones, but you don't need a fancy one. And you write it on that card and you carry it with you everywhere you go. Now, I have 3 of these. They all say the same thing. They've all got the same goal on them. I have one in my jeans pocket, I have one in my coat pocket, and I have one in my handbag. Not that I ever really carry my handbag, but it's so that wherever I am, there's the opportunity for me to feel that goal card. When I go to get my keys out of my handbag, or I go to get my bank card out of my back pocket, or, I feel the goal card, and it just reminds me, just momentarily, it flicks that vision onto the screen of my mind. It doesn't have to be for long, but it's just constant repetition of this image. That's what we want to do, okay? Now, I'll explain a little bit more why later in the week. Hi, Lorraine. Hi, Karine. But that is what we are aiming for. We want to be thinking about that vision that you had earlier, that picture, that goal that you have seen. We want you to be thinking about it all the time, okay? If you're going to achieve that goal, and you absolutely can, I haven't seen anything in the group today that's unrealistic. You might think it's unrealistic. There's nothing in there that's impossible. If you are going to achieve it, You have got to become obsessed with it. Okay? Obsession is good when it comes to goal achieving. Okay? You need to be thinking about that every spare waking hour that you have. So the more prompt you can give yourself, the better. It's so hard to choose a number one. Scatty, I've just told you how to choose a number one. Pick one, right? You need to look down the list and say, if I could just have one, what would it be? And pick one, right? You've got to get good at making decisions if this is going to work. You pick one and you go with it. And what will happen is, when you've picked it, all that's there for is to remind you what that big goal is. Okay? It's to remind you, to keep reminding you what it is you should be thinking about and what it is you should be focusing on. Okay? What's Bruce putting here? I could do that. I've seen that before, but I have a hard time doing it at that moment. Right. Okay. Well, we'll talk more about repetition. And my clients are rolling their eyes because I talk about repetition all the time, and so does Bob Proctor, if you've been following Bob for any length of time. But the whole point of all of this is that you have to be repeatedly thinking of that C-type goal. Now, I'll explain the science behind it tomorrow, but first of all, you've got to get clear on what that goal is, which hopefully you've started doing today. And then we have to be constantly exposing your subconscious mind to that idea. So we'll talk more about that tomorrow. But, one thing you need to understand is this isn't an overnight thing. Okay, so, we tend to get this, especially in this 5-day challenge, we tend to get like a bit of a, I don't know, this doesn't seem possible. How can I make this happen when I don't believe it's possible, or that. You won't believe it's possible today, okay? This is a long-term thing. The results you've got to date are the result of a long period of time, okay? Things have happened over a long period of time to get you where you are now. And to change that is not an overnight thing. And if anybody promises you that, then they're telling you porkies, okay? So we're going to go into that during the rest of the week. So today is a foundational day, and it's very, very, very important that you have this crystal clear vision on the screen of your mind when you take the time out to relax, whether it's to my visualization or to some nice relaxing music. You need to be able to bring that picture onto the screen of your mind. And there are a lot of different, techniques, a lot of different ways to make that easier. But this is the one, that guided visualisation is the one I'm giving you today to get started. It is a quick start challenge after all. Scatty's in. Good. Right. So that was point one I wanted to make. So hopefully you're going to pick a top professional one, a top personal one, create a goal from it, create one sentence. I'm so happy and grateful now that I have. Put your sentence, the professional and personal wants together, put it on a card, and I want you to carry it with you this week. Okay? The other catch is you need to put a date on it. Okay? I want you to date when you want to have achieved that by. Right? I'm not going to explain that further now. We'll talk about that tomorrow. But you need to have a date on it. Okay? It's been working. Andrew says it's been working. I got £1,100 of unexpected income, got to drive the car of my dreams, and I won 2 VIP tickets to a festival and a free cup of soup. There you go, you see? Is that all since the last free challenge, Andrew? Wow, you're a fast worker. So, I wrote some notes during the day while I was looking at what everybody was posting in the group. I've got some very scruffy handwritten notes. Right, I know I've been banging on about this visualisation, okay, and virtually everybody that's put a goal down in the group, I can tell now, usually, when people have used the visualisation and when they haven't, okay, and generally speaking, when people have used the visualization, they come up with a really detailed goal. And I can tell by the excitement in the tone of the writing that they have actually done the visualization. Now, it's really important to me that you do that. That's why I was asking everybody, you know, I would say, yeah, great. Did you use the visualization? It's really, really important to me that you use it, because I want you to get results this week, okay? That doesn't mean you're going to achieve your C-type goal this week, but I want you to come away at the end of the week feeling like, this is it. This is it. I'm going to decide what I want. I'm going to commit to doing it, and I'm going to do whatever I need to do to achieve it. That is my aim for you this week. Okay, if I do that, then I've achieved my aim, right? But the reason the visualising for me is so important is because this goal, this big fantasy that we're coming up with, that has to come from inside you. And it does come from inside you. When you are relaxed and you shut off your physical senses, you know, you close your eyes, you've maybe got music going or, you know, some sounds going to shut out the outside world. When you quieten everything else down and you follow visualization, or you just let your mind wander, that you that's inside you, that life force that's inside you, is telling you what you should be doing. Okay? That's the real you. That is the you that needs to come out. Okay? So, lots of people have goals. They tend to, one of the biggest mistakes people make is goals come from the outside. So they'll come through our physical senses. So we'll see something somebody else is doing, or hear results that somebody else has got, and we'll create a goal from that and say, yeah, I'd like to do that. I'm going to do that. That's not the same as having a goal that comes from inside. And it's that feeling, it's that emotion, it's that spirit that you need. Okay? And it's that spirit, that feeling that you have to harness in order to achieve the goal, which is why a lot of people struggle when they have a goal that's come externally, or a goal that somebody else has given them, or a goal that they think somebody else would like them to achieve. You know, it's really, really important that you don't do that, that you're not thinking about a goal that your parents would like you to achieve, or your kids would like you to achieve, or your spouse, partner would like you to achieve. It's got to come from inside, and that visualisation is a tool to be able to do that. There are others that we use, but that is a really, really powerful one. So I know I was banging on about it, but that's why, okay? Lorraine's saying, put your feeling into visualisation. Yeah. Today I was just invited to attend a big actor award ceremony in LA by a stranger with my last name on Facebook. Turns out we're cousins. Nice one, Jessica. Very good. Emotional feeling you get when doing this is such an amazing feeling. Yeah, and that emotion, Andrew, again, we're going to talk more about it tomorrow, but that emotion is absolutely key. And it's that emotion you have to feel, like Lorraine just said, you have to feel when you're visualising. You need to try to imagine that you've achieved that goal. And you're trying to imagine how it will feel to achieve that goal. That's important. And again, we'll talk more about why it is tomorrow, but I just want to focus on the actual practicalities of coming up with that goal today. What else did I write down? This thing about choosing a goal from outside. It's your conscious mind, it's your thinking mind that does that. When you see other people and you take information in from your physical senses, see what other people are achieving, it's not necessarily in alignment with who you are, and that causes all kinds of conflicts, and it generally means people don't achieve that goal. Hi, Julie. So we spoke about the goal card. I wanted to speak a little bit about the universal laws this week. Don't know how much anybody's into the universal laws or if anybody knows about them, but we use them all the time in what we do. And the one that I wanted to speak about today was the law of gestation. Now, the law of gestation is basically the law that says if you have a seed of some kind, it's going to take a certain amount of time to grow into whatever it's supposed to grow into. So, let's say, for example, if you take a carrot seed, where I live, you're probably talking 70 or 80 days for that carrot seed to grow into a carrot. Okay, we know that. We know that because we've had carrots before. We've had carrots for a long time. We've grown lots of carrots. We know that that's about the amount of time it takes from planting the seed to being able to harvest it. A human baby, okay, from the time of conception, you're talking about 40 weeks for a baby. That's the length of gestation for a baby to normally for a baby to grow into what it's supposed to grow into. Now that same law, the law of gestation, applies to thoughts, okay? It applies to goals, it applies to anything that you hold on the screen of your mind, okay? Anything that you get emotionally involved with. When you plant the seed of an idea, that is what you're doing. When you get an idea, that is effectively a seed that's in your subconscious mind, okay? And if you can focus on that, if you can really hold it on the screen of your mind as often as possible and become emotionally involved with it, the law of gestation dictates that it will eventually grow into the thing it's supposed to grow into. Okay, now the problem for us is that we don't know how long that's going to take. Okay, it's not a carrot, it's not a human baby, it's a new idea. It's a new thought that you've had or I've had. We've never had it before. We've never tried it before. We've never, a lot of the time we've never done the things before we need to do to achieve it. So how would we know how long it's going to take? Nobody can tell you how long your C-type goal is going to take to come to fruition. But this is the problem, okay? Most people don't have the patience or the persistence or the faith to stick with it. What you have to understand is that when you get that C-type goal crystal clear and you make a decision, you make a definite decision that you're going to go for it and you focus on that, you focused thought as often as possible, and on a morning you're coming up with ideas of how you can achieve it and you become obsessed with that idea, it will, by law, eventually come into form. But we cannot tell you, nobody can tell you how long that's going to take. So most people give up. Most people think nothing's happening after a certain amount of time, which is different for everybody, and they give up. That doesn't mean that it wasn't coming into form. Okay, so the law of gestation states that when you plant a seed and you nurture it, it has to grow into the thing it was supposed to grow into. It has to. We just don't know the length of time when it comes to your goal. So it's so important that if you've come up with a goal today that you really feel emotionally attached to, that is your inner you. That's your spirit telling you that's what you should be doing. And you need to make a decision now that you're going to do whatever you need to do to make that happen, because that is what you are supposed to be doing. Okay, all those feelings of discomfort and frustration and sadness and just feeling out of sorts, that's because you're not doing the things you are supposed to be doing in life. And that applies to 95 to 98% of the population, and most of those people will never do this work. Most of those people will never decide how they want their life to look and decide that they're going to do whatever they need to do to make that happen. So you are in the top 3% just for even entertaining this idea and having a look at it and scoping it out. Okay? It felt so real when I was visualising. Yeah, I love that visualisation, Jessica. I am involved with it. Hi, Becky. So we'll speak about some of the other law. I mean, that's a very brief introduction to the law of gestation, but I wanted to speak about it because so many people start this kind of process, not necessarily in this challenge, but so many people get into personal development and personal growth or goal achievement, this kind of area, and give up so quickly because they don't see results straight away. You will not see results straight away, I can tell you that now, okay? Now we're going to talk about the law of attraction on Thursday. The law of attraction works. The law of attraction works, okay? If it hasn't worked for you in the past, it's not because it doesn't work, it's because you weren't doing it right. And that's a bit of a brazen thing for me to say. But if you were, it would have worked, okay? So we're going to talk about law of attraction on Thursday. But just understand that everything is governed by the universal laws, just as, gravity and relativity and all those things exist, and they all control how physical forms relate to each other and how, the relationship between matter and energy and, all those things are governed by the laws of physics. The laws of the universe work in the same way. Law of cause and effect, the law of receiving, the law of supply, the law of attraction, law of vibration. These are all real laws and they affect every single thing you do. So if you're not aware of them, you need to learn them, which is what we do. We live our lives by the universal laws, and it is phenomenal what can happen. So just understand that they are a thing. The law of gestation, as I say, is important because you have to understand that just because you think something's not happening doesn't mean it's not happening. It just means it hasn't come into form yet. Okay? These things are working away all the time. But your part in it, your piece, is that you have to commit to focusing on that C-type goal and then taking action towards it, which we will talk about tomorrow. Hi, Nigel. Nigel's back. Andrew, it's worked for me after changing my mindset and cancelling out my paradigm. Yeah, talk about paradigms tomorrow, Andrew, I think. What else have I put down? Yeah, so I think the kind of closing, I'm going to answer some questions that came up earlier in a minute, but the closing part from what I just want to talk about is, now that you've got an idea on what your C-type goal is, and you will refine it, we are continually working, I and my clients are continually working on refining that C-type goal, continually, And the thing is, as you start to get nearer that C-type goal, it becomes more realistic. You start to think it's actually becoming achievable, and then it stops being a C-type goal and you need a new C-type goal, and then you're looking even further ahead. So it's really exciting stuff, and this is how people change their lives. This is how people make quantum leaps. This is how people who are no different to you and I have the same amount of time in the day, same amount of resources. They have kids, they have partners, they have dogs to walk, they have bills to pay. Why do some people succeed and some people don't? This is why. Okay, a huge part of it is having a big goal and being willing to commit to achieving that big goal and doing what you need to do and doing things that other people don't like to do. That's a big part of it. There's a famous speech by Albert E.N. Gray called The Common Denominator of Success. You might want to look that up. That's something that I use with my clients quite a lot. That's a really good read. But once you've got that C-type goal, you need to, start getting honest with yourself. And you need to look at it and say, okay, that's where I want to be. I've got a really clear vision of where I want to be. How does that compare to where I am now? What is the difference between where I want to be and where I am now? Now, this will bring up a huge load of negative emotions, okay? It'll bring up the, how can I ever do that? Who am I to think I can do that? There's just such a huge gap. You know, you might feel upset about it, but it's important that you look at it, because whatever that C-type goal is, you absolutely have the potential to achieve that. There is nothing stopping you except you, whatever that C-type goal is. But it's important that you look at where you are now and then look at where you're going and start to understand that the reason the C-type goal feels a bit out of reach at the moment is because you're looking at your current results, you're looking at your current life, you're looking at your current income, your current relationships, your current health, whatever it's like where you currently are, and you're making a judgment based on that because you know that that's realistic, you know that's achievable because it's what you've got, and that's what you're basing your beliefs on, that's what you're basing the fact that this C-type goal feels distant, feels unachievable. You can't do that. And what you have to do is get to a place where you are not focusing on your current results, you're focusing on the goal. You're ignoring your current results because they don't mean anything. Your current results don't dictate where you're going in the future. They're just a reflection of what's happened in the past, and they're a reflection of your self-image up till now, which we'll talk about on Wednesday. But that goal is absolutely achievable. Whatever it is, it's achievable. You know, there's nothing, nobody said that they want to grow wings and fly to the moon. Within the bounds of nature, within the boundaries of nature, anything's possible. And you are able to achieve it, but you've got to do it. Nobody can do it for you. And the way you do it is by changing the way that you think. Okay, and that's what we're going to focus on for the rest of the week. But you have to get clear, first of all, on what that C-type goal is. And I think a lot of you have done that today. And, you know, start to entertain the idea that this C-type goal might actually be doable. Start to mull it over. Start to play with it. Start to say, okay, well, if I did actually do this, what would my life look like? You know, think about it when you're in the shower. Think about it when you're waiting for the kids outside school. Think about it when you're laid in bed on a night time, when you get up on a morning. Play with it. See it from all different angles. Start to imagine how it's going to feel when all those things come true and you've got the things that you want. Start to play with it. That's your task. That's your extra task for today. You've got to get out of your own way. Yeah, you have got to get out of your own way. The question is, how do you do that? And that's all about changing your paradigm, changing the way that you think, changing the way you feel, changing the way you act, changing your self-image, changing your beliefs. So that's what we'll be looking at over the rest of the week. A couple of questions then that people have put. I don't know if anybody's posted anything in the group since I've gone live. There were a couple of questions which kind of covered the same thing really. So I think it was it Scatty that was asking about I didn't write the names down of who said it. Somebody was asking about how do you stop that chatting mind when you're trying to focus and you're trying to visualise and there's other stuff coming in. Practice, repetition. Eventually, when you get used to doing this and you're doing it properly, you can block out those negative, well, not even just negative thoughts, but those thoughts, you know, when I first started doing this, I used to kind of get 30 seconds into my visualising and then I'd be thinking about what I was going to do with the kids for the dinner and what I was going to go and buy from the supermarket and all those kind of things. And it does, you know, for a while that does happen. But, you know, we talk about using our higher mental faculties, and it's our higher mental faculties that we use to change our thinking so that we can achieve these C-type goals. And your higher mental faculties, there are 6 of them. I always forget one. So your 6 higher mental faculties are your intuition, memory, imagination, will, reason, and perception. So they're the 6 higher mental faculties that we work on strengthening. And the 2 that are most important for visualising are your imagination, which everybody's out of practice with, because we don't use it. You know, we use it when we're little, and then as soon as we start to go to school, we're kind of told to stop daydreaming and start concentrating and focus on what you're being shown. So we're all out of practice at using our imagination, but you have to use your imagination to build that picture, to build that vision that we've done today. The other higher mental faculty that we use for visualising, or what we call visioneering, actually, Sandy Gallagher is amazing at visioneering and teaching visioneering. But the other higher mental faculty is your will. So you have to have the imagination to be able to build the picture, and then you have to have a strong will to be able to hold that picture on the screen of your mind to the exclusion of everything else that's going on. And we do that. We work on strengthening imagination and we work on strengthening will. One of the things you can do to strengthen your will, I mean, at the end of the day, will is about focus. It's about being able to concentrate on one thing to the exclusion of everything else, without your mind going off in all different directions. One of the exercises you can do to strengthen your will that Bob always talks about is lighting a candle and sitting and watching the flame and just concentrating on that flame and nothing else. And when anything else comes into your mind, you just say, nope, I'm not thinking about that, and you bat it off and you go back to the flame. And you have the ability to do that. So many people don't understand this. You choose the thoughts that come into your head, and you absolutely have the power to get rid of thoughts. You have the power to ignore thoughts, to just throw them away. And that's something we'll be talking about that later in the week. We'll probably be talking about it a bit more tomorrow. But that is life-changing. When you develop the ability to not think negative thoughts, to just completely get rid of thoughts, anything that comes into your mind that's worrying, doubtful, self-deprecating, anything like that, it totally transforms your life. You don't worry about anything. You have amazing self-confidence. Everything changes. And you can do that. It's just about strengthening your will, and in this case, strengthening your imagination. That is what we do. It's amazing how far I've come from then to now. Yeah. So that chatting mind, I'm really sorry, whoever it was. Oh, it was Jessica. Jessica, was it? Sorry, I've just seen me. Oh no, but you also, Jessica, didn't you put the thing about how to stay believing during the day? How to take that feeling you had when you were visualising and replicate it during the day. Same kind of thing. So first of all, you've got to be visualising more than once. You can't just expect this to work just from a one-off. I visualise many times a day. Usually, I'd say at least 5 times, depending on what I'm doing and what time I've got. There are other things that I do as well, other like affirmations and things that we write out. And, depends on how your mind works and what you absorb best as to which technique we use. But visualising tends to work well for people because that picture, when you get that picture on the screen of your mind, evokes emotion, and it's emotion that we want. So visualising usually works well. But yeah, first of all, you need to prescribe yourself to be doing it multiple times a day. And what happens is, the more you do it, I mean, you need a kind of structured routine. So you need to build yourself a structured routine, I would say. That is probably the most effective part of what I've done that's helped me was actually having a routine to follow and building the repetition into my day. Okay, so I get up very early in the morning and I have a routine that I follow for this, and so do my clients. But as long as you are doing it multiple times a day, visualising, going back to that C-type goal, you've got the goal card, maybe writing it out a few times a day. It's exposing your mind to that vision multiple times a day. What happens is, and I think I spoke about this in the group very briefly, what happens is when you get emotionally involved with that idea and you can actually feel how that goal is going to feel when you've achieved it, it raises your level of vibration. So it raises your energy levels to the same vibratory frequency, same frequency as that goal. And that's what makes you feel excited, or it makes you feel happy, or, raring to go, that kind of motivated feeling. That's because you have temporarily raised your frequency, and that's what you need to be doing as many times a day as possible, and eventually it starts to naturally rise, and that's when you start to really kick into gear and you start to have the ideas that you need to have and attract the people that you need to attract and attract the resources that you need. It's all about raising your level of frequency, your level of vibration to the same level as that goal, and you can only do that when you become emotionally involved with that goal and you're visualising it regularly. Constant spaced repetition, learning, that's what we do. That's what it is. It's constantly exposing your subconscious mind to what it is that you actually want and getting emotionally involved with it. But basically, all of this is to do with paradigm. So if any of you, I know a lot of you have followed Bob Proctor in the past. I speak to quite a lot of people who say, I've followed Bob for 30 years. I just need this. And I kind of, I get really frustrated because I think you need something more. If you've been following Bob for 30 years or 20 years and you still haven't achieved what you want to achieve, take this week as the opportunity to do something with it, do something about it, and really make the decision that you're going to commit to doing what you need to do to achieve that goal. Because there's a danger, I won't go into this. No, I won't go into this now. I won't go into it now. We'll speak about it later in the week. But just commit. Make the decision that this is what you're going to do. That this is the life that you want to live. This is the life that you want for your family. You're not going to settle for what you've got. You're not going to settle for what your parents had or what your grandparents had. You're going to design the life that you want and spend every day for the rest of your life working towards that. And, when you've achieved that, then you go for the next thing. That's living. That is living. Otherwise, we're just surviving. So it's about making a decision and committing to doing what you need to do to achieve it. Okay, so tomorrow, back to paradigms. So tomorrow we are doing the knowing-doing gap. So all tomorrow's tasks and tomorrow's Facebook Live will be about the knowing-doing gap and paradigms. So essentially, when I've spoken about paradigms today, your paradigm is your operating system, if you like. It's the software that sits in your subconscious mind that controls everything about you. It controls how you feel about yourself. It controls your beliefs. It controls the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you sit, the way you dress. It controls everything, and it's a multitude of habits and belief. Okay, so it's all the things that have gone on around you, that have been told to you, that you've experienced, that you've seen, that you've heard as you were growing up, from being born, in fact from being in the womb. All these things have come together to create your operating system. And that's your paradigm. And it's your paradigm that controls the way you think, feel and act. And that's what we need to change. If you're going to change your results, you need to change the way you think, the way you feel and the things you do. So we're going to be talking about that tomorrow. Okay. Does anybody have any questions they want to ask on here before I go for the evening? I know there's a bit of a delay when people type between it coming through, so I'll just hang on just for a minute. No, don't think there's anything else. So use the hashtags in the group. Please remember, go back and look at the rules if you haven't already looked at them. The post's called How the Challenge Works. It's in the announcements section. You must read it. I don't want to be having to remove anybody from the group. That's not my intention. It's not my desire for this group. It's very self-explanatory. I am quite strict because my group, it's my rules. These are my people in here. There are my clients in here. You people that have signed up for the free challenge, I want to give you everything that I can this week. So it's a safe, positive space. Okay. Anybody decides they want to ruin that, you'll be out. Okay. So make sure you check that out. Right, all right then. I'm going to hop off and leave you all to it. I'll go grab some dinner. And questions in the Facebook group, make sure you use hashtag question. Make sure you use hashtag day 1 or hashtag day 2 so I know what you're talking about. Any technical problems, use hashtag tech. And I'll see you all tomorrow. Thank you very much for joining me. See you later. Bye for now.